Hey everybody, JoelImportSauce.com. Today we are working on our turbo on our P1, our S40, the KO4 turbo, and we are going to show you the Elevate oil feed line for the turbo. Replaces the hard line. We're going to walk through the instructions and kind of give you a close-up of what it looks like. It's going to be obviously a little bit different than you trying to install it on your car, but this gives you a good visual of what you're going to be looking for, what you're going to be feeling for. Stick around. Okay, since we are in the middle of the T5 engine rebuild, if you have not seen that video or started that series of videos, then you should hop over there. It's pretty in detail, covers pretty much bolt by bolt everything you need to do to rebuild your engine. This is one of the last things that we have out. We're doing a cleaning, kind of getting everything going, and since we had it out, we figured we would replace this factory hardline oil line with the Elevate for the P1 T5s, the turbo oil feed hose. So we're going to walk you through that. The oil feed line is right up here, right? So it comes in off of the block. Let's just, for orientation, we have this set up assuming that it was bolted into the back of your block, right? This is the orientation that it would be if you're working on it, but you'd probably be coming in from the front or the side and then also down below. So the oil feed bolts right into the block. It is a hard line. It comes up, snakes over the wastegate and under the coolant line, and then bolts in right on top. So direct feed. And the problem with this line is if you are considering or thinking about getting the recirculation or the atmospheric release Turbo Smart Elevate spec or any other kind of valve on that, you can see how difficult it is with that hard line in there to actually get there, right? So you have the 3 bolts that you have to get to, and I remember installing that when this was on the vehicle. It was a really difficult. You have to go in through the passenger wheel well, you have chassis, you have subframe, all of this stuff in this area, and then trying to get the old one out and get the new one in and get those bolts tightened. Luckily Elevate is forward thinking, and they have all of kind of these fittings that break off and go to the side rather than straight out, because you can see the clearance there. You're going to have an issue. So if you're thinking about that, this is a great thing to replace at the same time, because theoretically this hard line is going to come off and you're going to have a lot easier time getting that recirculation valve, or that blow off valve as it's called, in there. So easily enough, again, we know this is a hard line, but with anything Elevate, it is super durable. It is meant to exceed the factory standards on this. I mean, this pipe is super thick, and we have these beautiful fittings on there. It comes with the hardware, comes with instructions. So we're gonna just walk you through what we're doing here, and just kind of let you see what's going on here. But real quick, we're just getting a 17, 18, 19, and a 18 spinner. So we have those all here ready to go. The first thing you're going to want to do, as it says in the instructions, is start by removing, and you're going to go in through the top of the engine bay. So you're going to have to remove the turbo pipe, whether you have the turbo feed pipe, whether you have the factory or the Elevate spec, right? This pipe sits, you know, kind of something like that. So coming in from the top, you're not going to have access to hit that guy. So put this back over here. So what you're going to do is take your 17 and you are going to unscrew, and that guy is going to come out. Be aware that when you pull that out, there are, as noted in the Elevate instructions, there's going to be 2 of the crush washers. So right, we see one there, and then one that was still on there. So make sure you get both of those off, because we know similar to, you know, oil drain plugs and things of that nature, you don't need extra gaskets or grommets or crush washers stuck on there. Next thing you want to do is you're going to come down and grab your 19 mil. You're going to have to get into the wheel well. So you know what that entails is getting your vehicle up off the ground, getting it securely jacked, getting the tire off, getting the wheel well off, and then you know, reaching in and finding where this thing bolts to the block. At that point, you have your 19 mil, soup, and you're going to pull that off and drop that down. Same thing, we have 2 crush washers that come out with that. The instructions next say you have to get the feed out. And this is probably a lot easier to do when it's sitting here on the side of my wall, because it has to go through these 2 hard lines and over the wastegate actuator, the actual connection there. So simply pulling out, you're going to run into some things. You're going to have to kind of do some twister, because you can see even here when we are not under the car or coming from the top, you know, this is you know, kind of tricky. So what we're doing is we're kind of just feeding that out that way, and the problem is that when you're, you know, don't have visibility, then, you know, you're kind of limited on that. But now we can see side by side, we have the factory hard line, we have the Elevate softer line, we have the brand new Elevate fittings on there. So the next instructions are that we need to, and let's just take a look, and as you guys know, Elevate always comes with beautiful color instructions. And it's telling us to start off by putting the larger adapter onto the engine block and use the crush washer. And we're going to tighten with our 19 mil, right? So obviously we don't have a block here, but if we did, we would screw it in with the washer. Oh, sorry, the washer going into the block, 19 mil, and we would tighten it as it says there. And there's a picture, right? Next, we are going to move up top to the top feed there. And we're going to install the smaller of the 2 adapters on the top. We're going to again use the crush washer on there, and then we are going to tighten it with an 18 mil deep socket. So actually we're going to do that, and then we'll bring you back. Okay, so we have that installed. Everything is crushed down. The instructions do not note, and it is important to note that you want the tapered side facing up so that it can create a good seal when it meshes into here as well. So the next step is you need to connect the 45-degree angle. We are going to go ahead and put that right up on there. We're not going to fully tighten it because we want to be able to maneuver the hose. So we're going to start off, but essentially it's telling us to run the hose out of here and then down back behind the inlet. So you want to make sure before you tighten it and your angle's way over here that you can kind of get that into position where you need it to be. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so what we did is that is installed. We used the open-ended 18, and that was even tricky with these coolant hard lines, right? So we were kind of going over the top, and I apologize to anyone who's going to have to install this while it's on the vehicle. That's going to be tricky. But you can see the angle that we did here. The 45 comes up, and we tried to shoot the distance in between the coolant hard pipe and the intake here. And then it kind of just goes straight up. And then as we remember, the one that bolts to the block is going to be, let's just pretend, it's gonna be somewhere right there, right? So we had already installed this one in the first step, and then last step is now that this is torqued down, this one is just going to go straight in, connect, and you are good to go. So hopefully that helps out, but again, this makes things very easy because now look at all the space that you have trying to get in there. You are flexible. You can kind of push this out of the way while you're doing the install, or if you get the that at the same time, you can just you know, do the install at the same time and make your life a little bit easier. Also, there is interesting product we found from a company overseas that we saw on somebody else's K16 build is they make some lines similar to this for the both coolant in and out. So keep your eyes posted. We're going to get a set of those. Both sets with all the adapters and fittings are less than $100 delivered to you. But yeah, definitely if you are doing anything on the turbo, if you're you know, getting your wastegate, getting your blow off or your circulation valve, go ahead and throw one of these in the cart, because why not? It's going to make your life a lot easier, and it's a solid product.